Boyfriend's best childhood female friend hates me, and ick what to do. Below is very wordy and I'm sorry. I'm just in an emotional wreck. IF 20. Have been dating this guy, we will call him AM 19, for about a year and a half now, and I'm at my breaking point. I have this friend named B, F20, who's been his friend since they were both 8. I need to preface by saying I don't have an issue with her being female or my BF having female friends. The issue is that B genuinely hates me and has always hated me since I met her. A little about B and my history, as it will be important for later. I grew up in an extremely abusive and negligent home that led me to seek attention romantically from horrible people, one of which was an extremely abusive ex, which I still have diagnosed CPTSD from. I told A about this early on when it was clear we had feelings for each other, as I was still in the mindset of, I can't be in an abusive relationship if I'm not in a relationship. I know it doesn't make sense, but it was justified in my post-traumatic head. Back to the story. A and I had a very long talking phase/situationship due to my fears of being in a titled relationship, and we constantly talked about it, but we knew we wanted to be together. We just both understood that I had to cross this hurdle, and he was willing to hold my hand while I did so. We had even told each other we loved one another before we officially were dating, title-wise. This phase lasted 2.5 months, but we were constantly together, hanging out, spending the night, so it was clear we were genuinely wanting to be with another. In comes B. B during this time, for some reason, constantly told her that I was using him and that she's not actually into you, and that I was leading him on. I hadn't met B by this time, but I hadn't formally met B, nor did she understand who I was, what I had been through, and why we were in this phase for so long, so I didn't really blame her for wanting to protect her best friend. Time passes, I get closure and finally jump over that hurdle into A's arms, and I couldn't be happier and safe in his arms. We set up a time to formally meet B and her BF Z, 20. They've been together for roughly 4 years, and Z is also one of his childhood best friends. He just happens to also be dating B. We're having dinner together, and I'm so finally happy to meet his friends, the ones I've heard so much about and all the amazing childhood stories, and they seem to love me too. We're laughing and sharing stories after dinner, and I ask B of her, and I can talk, and so I can clear the air about what happened in our early relationship, as from what he told me, she still thinks that I chose A as a last resort, and that was obviously not true. She agrees, and I explain everything to her, that I have a very different life and problems compared to her, and that being in a relationship with someone who genuinely loves me scared me a lot at first, and A and I worked together, and that there was no leading on, and he definitely was not my last resort. She says she understands and apologizes, and I said she didn't have to, as I understood where she was coming from, and that she simply wanted to protect her best friends. And I thanked her for being such a good friend to A. You'd think we would have been on good terms now that everything was cleared up, but no, time progresses, and A and I never really fought, but if we did, it was usually cleared up and communicated within a day's time, and OFC during these disputes I would talk to B and ask for opinions and advice. I would go to B for things like, oh GF, and I have been really busy doing our own thing recently and not spending much quality time together, and Ikwatadu B would say things like, are you sure she's not cheating on you? She's seeing someone else most likely, seems like her. You deserve better. When he was busy with work, and I was simply busy with finals for college. B would constantly do things like this and insinuate constantly that I was the absolute worst when all I have done is love and cherish her with the most my heart can, but why she's genuinely so mean to me. B and her BFZ have a cabin that all three, including A, and family used to spend a weekend at in the summer, and I was invited. Yay. I was so happy. I thought this would be a huge bonding moment for me and B. Just two gals kayaking and teaching her how to fish, and there was a few nights where it would be just us two, and we would have a heart-to-heart, and she would say she would understand how I was feeling, but her opinion of me never changed, and she continued to be mean to me behind a screen to A or in person with A, but never to my face, no matter how many times I tried to work things out with her in person during hearts. Here's where it becomes messy, and I start snapping. Has a lot of his own mental issues, including a few failed suicide attempts before he met me, and he decided to start uni again, but within the first semester, he got extremely overwhelmed with the work and completely shut himself in from everyone because he felt like a failure and didn't deserve to be loved. During this time, he pushed all of his friends away, including B and Z, and broke up with me. I told him okay, but I also said I would still love and support him if he needed, as I knew he is disingenuously broke up with me. He wanted to stay with me, but we all know depression and suicidal thoughts are a bitch. But I knew he needed his space, and I let him have it. This time was extremely hard for me. There were multiple nights where I held him as he screamed, cried, and thrashed in my arms, telling me that he wanted to kill himself and that he didn't deserve me or to live. A, at this point, was all I had. My mom had abandoned B at 18, and I was alone beside him, so hearing that someone who genuinely loved me so much, and all I had wanted to do was nothing but die, really took a toll on me, but it cemented how much I truly love and care and wish nothing but the best for that boy. Weeks passed, and I was starting to mellow out a bit, but still hadn't seen any of his friends in months. I reached out to his closest friends, including B and Z, briefly explaining what has been going on, and that he does truly, genuinely miss him, and that next time they're in town, I would love to hang out with him. They respond saying they had no idea this was happening, but thanked me for letting them know, and that they would reach out. A few months go by, and A is showing interest in getting back together with me now that he's mentally doing better. Mind you, during these months, I have been nonstop caring for him, cooking his favorite meals, holding and consoling him while he sobbed, and did everything in my power to make it clear to him that he was deserving and worthy of love and amazing things in life. I talks to B and Z in their usual weekly catch-ups over the phone, and B and Z are not fond of the idea of him getting back together with me, verbatim saying, "Don't let her manipulate you back into the relationship." Hearing this genuinely caused me to relapse, like full force, as the sheer idea and concept of me hurting, let alone manipulating someone I love like my abusive ex did, cause me to spiral. Why would they say that about me? I was there when they weren't. I reached out to them on his behalf because I knew he missed and wanted his friends. I held my own tears while I held him while he screamed that he wanted to die. I never had to do those things, but I did it because I knew he still loved me and I loved him. He was just going through a really hard time, and I wasn't going to leave someone I love like that. I told her that what B and Z said was not okay, and that it genuinely really hurt my feelings and made me legitimately anxious at the thought of being around them. Christmas winter break, so they were all in town. He asked if I wanted him to say something to them, and I said yes. He expresses to them that it was wrong for them to imply that I was a manipulative person, and they wouldn't even say sorry to me. They just said, "Sorry she feels that way," and moved on. This was months ago, and since then the cycle has continued, sly comments and jabs at me, and if I truly love. It came to the breaking point within the last few weeks, as B broke up with Z after 4 years of being together. And A has had to play the middleman for them, as Z is heartbroken, and B continues to publicly bash Z on all her social media pages, including posting pictures of them together with his face crossed out, saying things like, "Waste of time," "loser," "fake," etc. I bring this up because it's beyond hypocritical. The first time A broke up with me, I made a simple Insta story saying that I was heartbroken. Didn't even mention A's name or any specifics, just said, "Man, I got winter depression and heartbreak." With a funny cat meme, after I posted this, B went on a rant to A saying how fake and toxic I was, that if I truly loved him I wouldn't air out our business, and at the time I was like, okay, I guess they're right, I shouldn't have said anything, and apologized to A. But you're telling me that she sees no problem in bashing her ex-BF if for years, with actual photos, texts, video calls, constantly on her story? Like, the bitch has made 6 stories in the past 3 days about their relationship, but OFC, I was the bad guy. It hasn't even been a week since B and Z broke up, but B is already hooked up with another guy within 3 days originally, which whatever. She's technically single. As much as I personally wouldn't do that, I can't judge someone else's motives and actions. It's not my place, nor would I want to bash a childhood friend to his face, despite her having no issue of doing it to me. B has been calling it daily now, just catching up and talking shit about Z and how her new catch is so much better, etc., etc. But, of course, sprinkled into these conversations is sly remarks about how bad of a person I am and how I don't deserve a. The finale, last night A and I were cuddling in bed talking about our day, and after a week or so of talking to my close friends about the situation with B, I built the courage to express how much it hurt. The conversation went just like this. "Hey A, I know this out of nowhere, but I've been thinking, and it really makes me uncomfortable how close and friendly you are with someone who genuinely hates me." He says, "So you're making me choose between B and you?" Admittedly, I didn't know where to go from here. I don't want me to stop being his friend, as they have so much history, but the way she talks about me especially to her really hurts, and I have spent countless nights crying over the idea that his friends genuinely fucking hate me, and I don't know what I did besides wholeheartedly love A. So instinctively, I started tearing up and crying. Through tears I say, no, that's not it at all. I'm just communicating and expressing how I feel. He says, do you want me to choose between the two of you? That is what it seems like you want. I just completely shut in, and my fight or flight kicks in due to just anxiety, and I can't speak at all. My face is hot, I can't breathe besides a few gasps, and while this is happening he's asking, what are you thinking? What's on your mind? But I can't speak, I'm too far gone, and leave the room and lock myself in my own room and just cry. I haven't spoken to him since that night. I don't know what to do. I want to be treated differently by B, but I don't want it to cut her off. I don't want it to be a me or her situation, as that feels so controlling and gross, and my own abusive ex did this to me with my friends and family, and I don't want to behave like him at all. So all in all, I don't know what to do. And I overreacting? Is it truly not a big deal? In the past, I've briefly talked about how it's not okay for him to let her talk about me like that to his face, and he admitted that he no longer really takes relationship advice from her, but that doesn't stop the comments. So I wrote this out the day after it happened. It's been 3 days, and the day after I fed to my mom's without a word to him. He doesn't know where I am, and hasn't reached out either. Yesterday was B's 20th birthday. I never did anything for my 20th birthday. I spent the day sobbing alone, and I. He did something for hers, of course. I just feel so worthless and can't see if it is truly a big deal, or if I'm just being selfish and immature. I want to reach out to him and make it clear I wasn't intending to make him choose, but I don't know what to say. I don't talk about this to anyone I know in real life, and honestly, I'm afraid if I do, they'll just write it off or think I'm overthinking. But this has been eating me alive for almost 2 years now. My husband and I have been together for just over 5 years, and in the beginning, I really thought I hit the jackpot. Like the kind of person you don't think exists in real life. We laughed all the time, talked for hours, agreed on almost everything, and it just felt easy. That kind of ease that only comes when you really, truly know someone. I always used to tell people we were two puzzle pieces that somehow landed next to each other. We had that deep, late-night conversation, kind of love. The kind where we'd randomly bring up things like death, not in a morbid way, but in that vulnerable, planning for the future kind of way. Every time, I would tell him my fears about going first, and what I'd want for him if that happened. And every time, he'd stop me and say the same thing. I'm going to go away before you do. I used to laugh it off, or gently tell him to stop saying that, but now, it haunts me. His family has a long history of cancer, especially prostate, and he's always known that. A couple of years ago, he went in for some imaging and blood work for his hips, which were bothering him to the point of him barely sleeping. He had follow-ups booked, plans to start PT, or whatever they were recommending. He seemed serious about getting better. Then one day, he came home and said they found a mass. Just dropped it like that. My heart immediately sank. Of course, I panicked, started asking a million questions. He was calm, too calm, and said the doctors weren't worried and it was probably nothing. I remember staring at him and asking, are you ding, and just not telling me? Asterisk, and he laughed, actually laughed, and said, babe, if something was wrong, I'd tell you. I've asked that question maybe a dozen times since then. I've tried to watch his face, read between the lines, feel out the vibe, and every time I get the same thing. Calm, cool, don't worry. But everything else, literally everything else, is screaming the opposite. Not long after that, he stopped taking his mental health meds. No warning, no plan. Just done. Now I've been there, I get it. When you start feeling better, it's easy to think you are better. But he never went back. Not after a bad week, not even after bad months. That was the beginning of the unraveling. The first year off meds, he was irritable, more than usual, but still functioning. The last 8 months, though? It's like I don't even recognize him. His energy, his mood swings, the way he eats or doesn't, even the way he looks at me sometimes, it all feels off. He used to be ridiculously healthy. He took pride in it. He had this whole routine, up at 5 a.m., protein shake, gym, vitamins, home-cooked meals. He looked years younger than he was. Now, I don't even know how to describe it. He's skeletal, like anorexic to the point where I sometimes cry when he's asleep just because I remember what he used to look like. And this isn't about vanity. This is about someone who's wasting away in front of me and won't say why. His current diet is mostly sugar, coffee, cigarettes, up to 4 packs a day now, and occasionally gas station food. He takes Suboxone prescribed and gabapentin also prescribed, but I don't know if he's using them responsibly anymore. He used to be so vigilant. Now he says stuff like, "What's the point? If I feel better, I'll take what I need." He gets random days where he can't even get out of bed. Nausea, fatigue, dizziness. He'll rally for like an hour, then crash for 3. Some weeks it's once or twice, other weeks it's every day. His lymph nodes swell to the point where I can see them from across the room. He's constantly running his hands over his neck like he's checking something. It takes him forever to pee, and he never talks about it, just grunts and slams the door when he's done. One leg swelled up badly a few months ago, and I told him he needed to be seen. He shrugged it off and said it was probably just sore from sleep. He limped for 3 days. He's also said multiple times, with total seriousness, that if he ever got a terminal diagnosis, he wouldn't tell anyone and wouldn't seek treatment. That he'd just smoke, chill with the dogs, and go when it's time. It's one of those comments you hear and try to forget, but it sticks. Then there's the secrecy. He randomly changed his phone passcode. I only found out when I tried to call my own phone from his and couldn't get in. When I asked him why, he instantly became defensive and weird. I got the "I need privacy" excuse, and then, eventually, "There's just things I don't want you seeing." Cue the spiral. I thought maybe drugs. Maybe an affair. But then I thought, when would he even have time? We live way out in the country with cameras everywhere. He never goes anywhere besides the store. His phone never shows weird activity. I even wondered if he was documenting his health in private, journaling symptoms or saving articles or something. But I don't know. Sometimes I think he's trying to disappear slowly. Like, if he lets himself fade out enough, maybe it won't hurt as much when he's gone. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe he's hoping I'll catch on without him having to say the words out loud. There are days when I feel like I'm the only one still fighting for the version of him I remember. I miss my husband. I miss laughing. I miss the way we used to plan trips and talk about our dreams. Now we barely talk. He's tired all the time. Or gone in his head. Or angry for no reason. And I'm just here, holding all the broken pieces and trying to make a picture out of them. I've brought it up gently. I've brought it up directly. I've cried. I've yelled. I've begged him to go see a doctor. Every time he either shuts down or turns it into a fight. And I'm scared. I'm really scared. I feel like he's slipping away right in front of me, and I don't know if he's already sick and just not saying anything, or if this is a very slow suicide by neglect. Either way, I feel helpless. If you've made it this far, thank you. I guess I don't know what I'm looking for. Maybe just to not feel crazy. Maybe to hear from someone who's seen something similar. Or maybe just to say this out loud, in case something happens and I never get the chance again. I love him so much. I just wish he loved himself enough to let me help. Comment 1. It does sound like he has cancer, and it has spread. My cousin's mailman had cancer in his legs, so I know things are possible as far as his leg issue goes. Bone cancer, I know, could go from his hip to his leg. Tell him you love him, even if he's not here for long, but if he's going to leave you and not fight the losing battle to stay with you, then he owes you the truth. Because you want to spend time with him when possible and have some fun, and also because his death and any emergency care preceding it could leave you in a pit of debt, and no one wants to leave a spouse they actually care about in that type of situation. Edit. And there's this whole thing in medical anthropology about how we call cancer a fight or a battle, and how it removes sympathy for the person, because if they don't fight it, then they're a loser. So approaching him while acknowledging it is a losing battle sounded sympathetic to me at first, because he probably views it that way and doesn't want to sacrifice his quality of life to fight it. Perhaps it is better to say that it is his right to choose if he gets care, but that you want to see him have a decent quality of life and check things off his bucket list and make memories so you don't remember him as this gray, dismal person. Be there for him and propose going to the movies or stepping in to do the things you mentioned, the things he needs to do, but obviously will soon be unable to do. Opie response. I agree completely. I have even been looking up all different types of cancer info, or just symptoms mixed together. And it all leads back to something serious. But I'm not a DR, so I really don't want to assume. He's always been weird about expressing emotions. He doesn't see a point in expressing emotions dealing with anything sad. And he knows something like him passing would just destroy me, and in his mind, I could see him justifying not telling me, because he wants me to be able to handle what I can mentally. But I don't know how he expects me to handle it if it is the case. He also despises people trying to give him pep talks and trying to make him feel better. He's always wanted to deal with hard stuff on his own. Between his past and mental health, I can understand why he feels that way, but I still have tried to let him know quite often that I'm always available with a shoulder and ears or whatever he needs if he so decides to share. So it wouldn't really surprise me if he was dealing with something terminal and just not telling me.
Comment 2.
As a leave me alone and let me handle it myself, I don't need anyone's comfort or advice kind of person. I can sympathize with how it must appear to someone else. The only suggestion I can give you is to try and approach him less from a I am here for you point of view and more from a I need you to be here for me. Sit down and come out bluntly and say that his behavior is upsetting to you, and if there is something very wrong with him, if he's dying, then your memories of your last few months together are going to be of stress and chaos. He's not saving you from the heartache. He's just making it even harder. If he dies, then you're going to be heartbroken. He can't make it any easier, but he can and is making it harder. Whatever he's doing, whatever pain he's trying to shield you from, he's just replacing it with worse pain. Let him know that whatever is happening, you're not going to try and interfere with his decisions or force him to do anything, but that you want to use whatever time you have left to make happy memories, to see out your relationship on a high. Comment 3. I must have reading this whole thread 3 times before I figured out what was really going on because my touch of autism brain couldn't figure out from reading the thread why you thought he was dating.
Sigh.
Having figured out that you're worried about a banshee and not a temptress, I'm an EMT and also had an adult child die of an overdose, so I'm familiar with this. Pay special attention to Suboxone because he obviously has access to it, and too much is deadly alone. Further, it can easily be mixed with alcohol, antidepressants, cannabis, anticonvulsants, cocaine, and other substances. The rate of death from mixing it with other substances goes up. He would only have to hang on to it for a day or 2 to reach a lethal load, especially if he could get hold of fentanyl. So you have some thinking to do, some soul searching. Would you want to stop him? Would he forgive you if you did? Or is this a decision you would want him to make without interference? Personally, and this is only how I personally feel, not telling you to do it, I'd be getting a smallish, pretty but manly wooden box, like big enough to hold a few sheets of paper, and gifting it to him, and asking him to keep it in his underwear drawer with notes about anything he will need for you to know, if something happens. If you feel weird about it, buy yourself a girly box and keep it in your undies drawer with your if something happens. Make sure he knows it is there too. Make sure he knows how to register his DNR in case, and knows that getting a DNR tattoo is not recognized. So I hope this helps at least a little. Enjoy each other, regardless of what you decide to do. Opie response. I like the idea of the boxes. Thanks for passing on your take. He has been taking a lot more of them recently. I assumed it was a pain thing, considering the topic of the post. So, you think he's just in over his head with the Suboxone? He's been on it for a very long time. I'm honestly surprised he's still prescribed it without them trying to taper him somewhat. But what do I know? So are you saying you feel like he's trying to overdose? He doesn't drink at all. But he does have a lot of gabapentin. So add pot, and that's 3 right there. Also, do you feel it's strictly just addiction and that's why I need to prepare, or that you think he's trying to make it come faster because he's already ill? If any of that makes sense. I don't know. I have a hard time forming sentences that can be comprehensible at times once my ADHD gets going. Both my mother and grandmother succumbed to their addictions, which led to their deaths. So I also feel like I would notice if it was him getting high. But I was also unaware that you could mix pot and whatnot with subs. I don't feel like that information was ever provided to me when learning about it from his DR. Comment 3 response. The combo of gabapentin, pot, and Suboxone can easily depress respiration to the point of no return. About addiction, a lot of people become addicted because they have very poor coping skills. So think about it, the combination of poor coping skills and endless pain. See where that goes. You wouldn't even have to notice him getting high. Chances are it would be a one-off, wham bam, thank you ma'am sort of thing. If he's made a plan and is serious, the plan will involve not being caught. The one really serious thing I would suggest, unless he is adamant to DNR, is to get naloxone and keep it where you can always grab it. Heck, anyone reading this should get it regardless. Most states now have a way you can watch a quick video and then get a free dose. In today's world, everyone should have it in their purse or bag. It can make all the difference for someone. I went through my girlfriend's phone and found out she might have an STD. Now, I don't know what to believe. So, this all just happened, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to feel or do right now. I feel like I'm spinning. Me and my girlfriend have been together for over a year now. Things have been mostly good. We've had our moments like every couple, but nothing that ever made me question our future. I really care about her. She's funny, supportive, affectionate, all the stuff you want in a partner. But we're not perfect. There are little red flags here and there that I sometimes ignore because I figured they were just personality differences. But now I'm looking at everything differently. Last night, she fell asleep on the couch while I was playing a game. Her phone was next to her, and at first, I didn't even think about it. But then I remembered this convo we had months ago where she casually mentioned she looked through my phone a long time ago and saw I was clean, nothing shady going on. I laughed it off back then because honestly, I didn't have anything to hide, and I figured it was a one-time thing. But sitting there last night, I don't know, it just came back into my head. I guess curiosity got the best of me. I regret it because now I know something I didn't before, and it's messing me up. So I picked up her phone, opened the messages. Wasn't expecting to find anything, really. But then I saw an old message thread with some guy from back in 2023. I don't know who he is, but I recognized her tone. It felt serious. So I scrolled a bit and then I see the message. She tells him she went to the doctor and found out she had herpes. She said the doctor gave her medication for it and it cleared and that she doesn't have it anymore. I sat there frozen for 5 minutes, trying to understand what I just read. My heart was pounding. First of all, what do you even mean it cleared? Isn't herpes forever? And second, how does she just never bring this up? I woke her up, but instead of admitting I went through her phone, I told a lie. I said some random guy with the same name as the guy in the texts had DM'd me saying she had herpes and thought I deserved to know. She looked confused, and then said she didn't know anyone by that name. I watched her face the whole time. I couldn't tell if she was just half asleep and confused, or if she was lying straight to me. She denied it completely. Said she didn't have anything, never had. I asked her if she ever had any tests done besides for common stuff, and she said when we both went in recently for flu symptoms, they did a panel and didn't say anything. She tried to make it sound like that was proof she was fine. But now I'm thinking about everything. She had a UTI a few months back and went in for blood work. If she had herpes, wouldn't they have told her then too? Or does that kind of thing not show up unless you ask for it? I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of freaking out. I don't know what to believe. I feel betrayed, but at the same time, I'm questioning if I'm even allowed to feel betrayed since I found this out by going through her phone. I don't even know why she was talking to that guy. The convo didn't seem recent, but it felt intimate. I didn't dig deeper. I just froze and backed out. Now I'm sitting here feeling sick. Do I confront her again and admit I went through her phone? Will she even admit the truth if I do?
Or will she just double down?
Was she just embarrassed and trying to protect herself? And then there's the health part. If she did have it and it cleared, is that even a thing? I've always heard herpes is permanent. It can go dormant, but it's still there, right? She never had any signs or symptoms while we've been together that I know of. I haven't had anything either. No symptoms, no breakouts. Nothing that made me worry. But now I'm paranoid as hell. I can't stop thinking about it. Should I go get tested just to be safe? Should I ask her to go with me and get tested together? Or would that just blow everything up? I really don't know what to do. I don't want to destroy what we have if this is something that happened in her past, and she truly thought it was resolved. But I also don't want to be naive. If she lied to me about something this serious, what else could she lie about? I don't feel like I can talk to my friends about this. They'd probably say I'm stupid for even being with her still. Or worse, they'd say I deserved it for going through her phone. And maybe they'd be right. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm sitting here feeling blindsided and scared and confused.
So yeah,
that's where I'm at. Advice is welcome. Please don't just roast me. I know I messed up going through her stuff. I just want to know what I should do now. Is this something worth ending a relationship over? Or am I blowing it out of proportion? Because right now, I honestly can't tell. I met this guy in 1997. He was my first real guy friend. When we met, I didn't like him at all. Actually, most people didn't. He was loud, irritating, and had this try-hard energy that made everyone roll their eyes. But he was from the same city as me, and since neither of us had cars, we'd ride home together on weekends. Those long car rides built a routine between us, and that's how I met his girlfriend too. We rode back and forth enough times that I got to know her a bit, not deeply, but enough to know she was quiet, sweet, and probably too gentle for someone like him. We graduated in 1999, and life scattered us. But like clockwork, he'd call me once a year to catch up. It was predictable, one random call, full of updates and his signature overconfidence. Around 2004, something shifted. We started talking more than the once-a-year tradition. He was interviewing for a school leadership role in my city. He was becoming a full-on grown-up, a principal, married, with kids. He sounded grounded, sharp even. So when he asked to meet for lunch, I agreed. He never showed up. No call, no text, nothing. I brushed it off. Life happens. In 2005, he called again. This time he told me why he didn't interview. His wife had a stroke. Apparently, before the stroke, he was already planning to leave her. The marriage wasn't what he imagined. He had been having an affair, but it got ugly. The mistress started showing up at his job, his church. So when his wife had the stroke, everything collapsed. Instead of leaving, he moved his entire family to another city. He said it was to start fresh, but I saw it as running away. By 2007 or 2008, our conversations were regular. He started flirting more. At first, it was harmless banter. He'd call and say, "Can I speak to my future wife?" And I'd play along. "Can I speak to my future baby daddy?" We laughed. But in hindsight, I think I laughed to keep things light because I didn't know how to say, "This is weird and I don't really want this." Then in September 2008, he invited me to a networking event about an hour and a half away. I wasn't really in the mood, but he convinced me to come. I arrived late. Instead of networking, he suggested dinner. I should have known better. At the restaurant, he told the host, "I need the best table for me and my wife." I froze. That wasn't funny. That was crossing into real-world flirtation, public performance. After dinner, he wanted me to stay the night. I refused, but he kept pushing. I gave in. That night, I laid frozen in bed. I wasn't comfortable. Around 5 a.m., he touched me. We kissed, clothes half off. We didn't have sex because there were no condoms, but the line was crossed. I left awkwardly, deeply unsettled. I called him after school and told him I never wanted that to happen again. He laughed, said it was no big deal. But to me, it was betrayal. He was my friend. I knew his wife. I felt sick. We didn't talk for a few weeks. Then in October, he said he was stranded and needed a ride. I picked him up, dropped him at his hotel. Again, I should have left. But I walked him to his room, and again, that tension. His phone rang. I stepped out to get condoms. By the time I got back, he was outside saying he didn't have time anymore. I was humiliated, angry, ashamed. Not just because of what almost happened, but because of who I had allowed myself to become in his presence. A week later, he tried to reconnect. I refused. I held firm. We didn't talk for a few months. December 2008, he said we'd both be in our hometown and we should hang out. I was over it emotionally, thinking maybe we could just be friends again. He was late, changed plans, classic him. We had dinner and again he asked me to stay the night. I said no, over and over. But he wore me down. I went to the store, got the condoms. I didn't want to do it, but I performed. That's the word, performed. Like it wasn't even me. He enjoyed it. I felt empty. He left early. Told me to check out whenever. I didn't answer his call later. I was devastated. We didn't talk for years. Then January 2023, out of nowhere, a call comes to my work phone. I call back. He gives me a long apology. I told him I'd forgiven him years ago, and that was true, at least on the surface. But when we talked, it felt like no time had passed. I missed the friendship, or what I thought it was. He said he was divorcing. He invited me on a trip. I said no. We went back and forth about meeting up. Eventually, we met in a town near me. He pushed me to spend the night, again. I agreed, but told him no funny business. Of course, I didn't sleep. He tried to cuddle and talk. I pretended to be asleep. The next morning, I showered and went for breakfast. When I came back, he asked for a hug. I said no. Then a kiss. No, just a kiss on the cheek, he said, right as I was walking out. I said, no means no. A woman across the hall opened her door to look at us.
She saw.
And everything changed. Suddenly, he backed off. Said to call when I got home. Later, he called. His voice was smaller. Said he'd never force me to do anything. But that moment with the woman, it shamed him. Not the conversation with me, but being seen. After that, I stopped responding. Then in May 2025, a text. Another apology. A quiet, almost routine one. I replied saying I'd call him. But I haven't. Because what do I say? That in 2008, I spiraled into depression after what happened between us? That I felt dirty and used and confused, and I blamed myself for so long because I stayed the night when I knew better? That in 2023, when he invited me again, it felt like the same script, like he hadn't grown, like he just wanted access to me again? That he only stopped because someone else witnessed it? And the biggest truth, I think he wanted me to be his mistress. That way back when his wife got sick, he saw me as a way out. Someone on the side. A placeholder until the life he imagined could begin. He even told me once that he thought his wife wouldn't live long, and that he wanted to marry me. But the truth is, I was never attracted to him. I was young, flattered by the attention, and I didn't know how to say no with strength. What he doesn't understand is that the flirtation wasn't real for me. It was just play. Now, I'm not sure what to do. Do I call him and explain how deeply he hurt me? That I felt manipulated and cornered multiple times? That his behavior wasn't romantic or flattering, it was entitled? Or do I just leave it alone? Protect my peace and move on? I don't know. But I know that if I do talk to him, he has to hear all of this. Not just the surface apology. He needs to understand what he did, what it cost me emotionally, and that I was never the person he imagined me to be. I was never his fantasy. I was someone trying to hold on to a friendship, even when the friend became someone I didn't recognize anymore. Comment response. I can tell how much pain, confusion, and self-reflection is wrapped up in this story. That wasn't easy to share, and I want you to know I'm sitting with all of it. Not just the facts, but the weight of what it did to you emotionally. I really see how much you were trying to hold on to something that felt like friendship, even when your instincts were screaming that something wasn't right. What you went through wasn't just about a bad decision or an awkward situation. It was a pattern of emotional pressure, manipulation, and disrespect. He knew what he was doing. The way he continually asked you to stay the night, flirted in ways that escalated beyond what you were comfortable with, and then laughed off your concerns. That's not confusion or mixed signals. That's control. That's someone testing your boundaries, then pushing past them. The fact that you didn't feel safe enough to say no loudly back then doesn't mean you were complicit. It means you were in a situation where your emotional safety and clarity were already compromised. You said it yourself. You were young and unsure, and sometimes we flirt or go along with things because we want to be liked or because it feels easier than confrontation. That's not weakness. That's survival. And I need you to know you're not to blame for any of it. The part that really struck me is how clearly you tried to get back to normal, even after being deeply hurt. It's like you kept trying to find your friend in him again, but he kept showing you someone who didn't respect your no, didn't take accountability, and seemed to only show remorse when someone else was watching. That's not friendship. That's manipulation with a smile on its face. I also think it's really powerful and heartbreaking that you now see how he might have been grooming you to be a placeholder until his situation changed. Whether or not he consciously intended that, it's clear that he was looking for someone to meet his needs, and you were caught in that mess. He was dishonest with his wife, dishonest with you, and unwilling to take real responsibility for the ways he hurt people along the way. It's devastating when someone takes advantage of your care, your trust, and your kindness. I think it's totally fair and even necessary that you're considering whether or not to confront him directly about this. If it helps you heal, if it helps you reclaim your power, then it's worth it. But it's also okay if you don't. Closure doesn't always come from them. Sometimes it comes from telling yourself the truth, letting go of the illusion, and giving yourself the compassion he never gave you. Whatever you choose, I want you to know how strong you are. The fact that you've processed this, owned your story, and are seeking clarity now, that's huge. I see your integrity, your self-awareness, and your growth. And even though you're carrying pain, I also see someone who is reclaiming their voice and refusing to let the past define them. You did nothing wrong. Is this normal guy behavior, or is he mentally, emotionally cheating? So this is kind of a long one. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year and a half. My gut is telling me he doesn't love me based on repeat offenses similar to my past. But I could very well be reading a silent type guy wrong. He provides the house, the utilities, his cars. I pay my car, groceries, and anything household we need. I take care of everything household and dogs. Laundry, meals, cleaning, etc. I don't like it this way. I wish I made enough to contribute to bills, but I try to do my part and make sure he's taken care of and prep to have a successful day. I put this man on a pedestal. I'm a very emotional kind of person. He is not. He was taught to never open up or show emotion. He bottles it up and never speaks. The non-communication bothers me. I've voiced it. The no response or one-word responses to my lovey texts bother me. Like, why do I try? When he is close, he makes me feel very loved. He's good at the physical part. He calms me down when I have anxiety. My ex and toxic mom really fucked up my mindset. So when the similar trigger to what I've been through, I cry. He makes me feel safe and loved. When he tries, but when he doesn't verbally give back what I do, I get internally upset. This man has done a lot for me. I told him I loved him prob 7 to 8 months in. He didn't say it back. He still hasn't told me those words.
He'll tell me he appreciates me.
My best friend said her husband does that, uses that "I appreciate you" as a redirect way of saying love. During one close talk on a long drive, he told me I've been hurt before. I've vowed to not tell another the L word until we're married. So internally I feel upset that given the amount of things I do, I have to suffer because someone else hurt him so bad. I have to wait to be loved because of others' stupidity. Not appreciating him for who he is and how amazing he is other than not talking. I'm hurt but trying to be patient. Here's where it gets fucked up. I got a random anon-fake ACCT FB message saying, "He's not being honest with you. He only keeps you around for what you do," that was it. Then blocked so I couldn't respond or look at any profile links. Why would someone send me this shit? So, I've been trying to watch him more. I didn't tell him the day of, and asked him if he was doing anything behind my back, and he goes no. Are you looking at anything disrespectful when I'm not around?
No.
Are you talking about to anyone else in a disrespectful way to me?
No.
One night I'm cuddled up on him, and he's scrolling Facebook Reels. 3, not in a row, sexy cam girl nude type videos came up. He kept scrolling and corner-eyed me to see if I was looking. Of course I was. I said, "Are you gonna go back to that?" He replies no and continues to watch something else in relation to his job. I said, "Why is that coming up on your FB? What kind of algorithm do you have searched here?" He then wanted to go back to bed and talk about it in the morning. I tried to get him to talk in a funny way and he was being sarcastic back. I just wanted to know. I can't expect him to not watch porn like stuff as he's a guy, but come on. One girl we both know popped up on his notifications the next day, so I asked her what was said. She sent me the screenshot, and I didn't like a specific line, so I planned to talk to him about it. I did a few days later because the time was never right. I said, "So we're going to be starting clean and fresh, right?"
He goes, "Yeah."
More talking and better communication, I said, and he kind of looks at me like, "What?" I said, "And no more behind the back shit." He goes, "Well, all I can do is tap not interested when they show up." I said, "Okay." In response, he goes, "You look like you want to say something, so just say it." I was getting quiet at this point because I feel misunderstood. I brought up the girl and the screenshot and just asked what it was about. Dumbfounded, he was like, "When she was here, I always used to kindly say that to her." Wait, she sent you that? I said yes, but I didn't tell him I asked her for it. I just wanted clarity. He got mad at that and proceeded to go into the bathroom for a shower. I tried to follow him into talk because things got heated and my anxiety sparked. He reacted horribly to hearing that was sent and being apparently accused of cheating. He pushed me out and said, "Just leave me alone, Arn. I'm taking a shower." I sat on the floor and cried outside the door, trying to talk to him through the door and no response until he was done 30 minutes later. He opened the door and stared at me. He got dressed and went into his office and sat in the chair, closing the door behind him. Anxiety me followed him again, crying, just explaining I didn't want to fight. I wanted clarity. I sat there with anxiety and crying as he's processing the whole situation and messaging this girl in anger that she would send me such a screenshot. What happened after that, but I know she's not on his FB anymore. He goes, "All right, fixed." No longer a problem. Goes into the kitchen and starts dinner because I didn't. I was crying outside the bathroom door. He needed my help, so he picked me up off the floor and told everything was okay. Tried to hug and kiss me to get me to calm down. It took me a minute. Anxiety with me resignates to the next day in pain. I can still feel jitters for a while. Made dinner, and I didn't eat. I can't eat when upset. Went to bed and got up for the next day. He was very distant in the MRNG. I brought his midday coffee, and I always get a smirk or a smile, and I got a straight face. I chalked it up to him being extra busy. It was where we were for work. Well, this morning I probably went too far, but I went through his phone quick as he was passed out. He's made me feel away, and I needed to confirm. His snap has other girls he's heart reacted to. Recently, one he messaged when we at like 6 to 7 months in that I got the hint. I'll leave you alone, she replied about distance and going through too much stuff. It wouldn't work. They had messages since 2021. They haven't talked since November, just her selfies saved and casual talk. Others he's saved their story selfies and did the heart reaction. The girl who sent me the screenshot, he must have sent the same anger message on there too, because she responded telling him I asked her for it. I saw her name. She doesn't want to be in the middle of it. His first anger message said part, "You clearly don't know me if you think I'd cheat on her or something." Anyways, it looks like they apologized to each other for the misunderstanding. Let me remark the message sent in question from her is not a problem in this post. She is clear. But remember the other snap girls I just said. Then the reels before. Bad regular text that I saw briefly scrolled. I couldn't find his messenger app, so I went to his photos. Beyond his job pictures, I scrolled about 20 plus other nudes and videos from some porn site it must be. But some selfies looked screenshotted. Ass, boobs, sexy mirror poses. Very few of my selfies. None of my nudes I've sent him. He hasn't saved anything since I talked to him about behind the back shit. He hadn't talked to the other snap girls since the talk. Just the screenshot girl. Let me just say, I have small boobs, I'm not proud of them. I'd get a boob job, but it's expensive and I don't want to be judged for getting them done. I think we're both waiting for pregnancy, so they'll boost a little. Ass, that I have loaded. He loves my butt. My face, I hate my teeth and smile. I've grown more wrinkles and don't look youthful like I used to without stress. I am not the prettiest thing, and I definitely don't feel it. I don't feel sexy to him anymore. I feel useless. Other than having a bum and doing talk the chores. I don't feel loved. If that's because he hasn't said it or because he doesn't talk to me emotionally. I see all he does for me and greatly appreciate it, but I guess one of my things is voicing love to match his actions.
He's told he cares about me.
But not I love you. Are these normal things for a guy? Not that I like them, but do all guys save porn and other girls' nudes, and I'm overreacting? Do I give him a buffer to see if he does the same shit after talking to him? He insists he's not cheating, but maybe some guys don't understand it doesn't have to be physical. You don't have to heart her selfie. You don't have to screenshot these other girls. Ask me for what you want. Am I overthinking all this? I just don't feel good enough after seeing all the other girls way prettier. Before all this, he says if he didn't want me, he wouldn't have me at the house. Yes, I know I'm the asshole for going through his phone, but I deserve to make sure I'm not being cheated on again. My last ex cheated on me 5 times. I'm scared it'll happen again and not being good enough to keep. He's made remarks about our future and getting married and having a family. He's done literally everything else right except clearly what's on his phone. I don't like the hidden phone life. I have trust issues, I know. But I need to know what others think and would do. I just feel disrespected. I feel ugly and not good enough. Does he fake this whole thing? Intimate video addiction? Like, what am I doing wrong? I want to be wanted. I don't want to ask for anything. I want to be told I'm loved. I'm sorry guys, just my most important person who means the world to me is hiding things. I'm probably forgetting something, but that's the gist. Don't hate me for going through his phone. Not my most stellar move. Update. Thanks for all the replies. I couldn't get back to everyone, just know I'm reading all of them and grateful. Last night, I couldn't sleep. I was lying next to him while he snored, and I felt like I was screaming on the inside. I didn't want to be crazy, but my heart wouldn't let me rest. I grabbed my headphones and went into the living room, just to breathe. I ended up messaging my best friend at like 3 a.m., and she gave me advice that most of you have been saying. She said I need to think about leaving if I don't feel emotionally safe. That broke me. Because I don't want to leave. I want to fix it. I want this to work.
I've put in so much.
I've sacrificed so much of myself. The next morning, I brought it up to him, gently, saying I needed emotional connection, not just acts of service. I told him I feel like a burden for asking to be loved the way I need. He looked blank at first, then said, "I don't know how else to show you I care. I'm not that guy that sends poems or good morning texts. I show up. That's how I love." That same day, I noticed he'd deleted Snapchat. He said he didn't use it much and didn't want any more drama. But I couldn't help but wonder if it was to hide things. Part of me wanted to celebrate that he deleted it, like he was choosing me. Another part wondered what was on there that he didn't want me to see again. Then came the kicker. We ran into one of his old coworkers at the store, a girl. I didn't know her. She smiled at him like they had inside jokes. He introduced us quickly but awkwardly. When we got in the car, I asked, "So, who's she?" He said, "Oh, just someone I used to work with. No big deal." I left it alone until I couldn't. That night, I brought her up again. He said he didn't think it was worth bringing up because they never really talked outside work, but I could see in his body language that there was something more. He got defensive. I got quiet. I hate this version of me, insecure, overthinking, not trusting my gut. But something is off. I don't know if it's him, or if it's just me being paranoid. Almost got into physical altercation over noise level. Sorry, long rant incoming, but I really need to get this off my chest. I live in a really small apartment, basically a rooming house since there's no living room and the walls are paper thin. We hear everything, especially through the vents. I've been here for 8 months, and it was mostly fine before, mainly because my old roommate, technically my subletter, was also kind of the landlord and worked early shifts, so everyone kept it quiet after 11 p.m. out of respect. But ever since he moved out, things have gone downhill fast. My current roommate is an alcoholic and stays up every single night until 3 a.m. drinking, slamming doors, cooking, watching movies at full blast, gaming, and having loud phone convos. I used to stay up late until 1 to 2 a.m., so I let it slide, but things changed recently after some health news. I got blood work done, and my doctor warned me I'm at risk for metabolic syndrome. Type 2 diabetes runs in my family, and I am 30 pounds overweight. He told me I need to watch my diet and start working out to avoid the health issues in the future. I've committed to waking up at 6 a.m. for fitness classes and completely changing my lifestyle, better diet, and consistent workouts. I even told both of my roommates this. Gave them a heads up that I'll be waking up early every day. But this girl has been loud every single night. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., doesn't matter. I've been surviving on 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and I'm honestly hitting a breaking point. I've texted her politely, reminded her in person, even threatened to blast music in the mornings. I've had to go into her room at night and ask her to shut up. Nothing works. Tonight, I finally thought I'd get some sleep. She wasn't home, and I passed out early around 11 p.m. Then 1:30 a.m. hits, and I wake up to her coming home with 4 people, drinking, laughing, playing music.
Her room is right beside mine.
I banged on her wall, got no response, so I texted her. She half-heartedly told her friends to quiet down, but the music kept going. Then I overhear her talking **T about me, insinuating I'm playing the victim and that my cat wakes her up in the morning. My cat maybe meowed 5 times total in 8 months, and never before 9 a.m., and that's being generous. So yeah, I lost it. I stormed into her room and yelled. Told her she was being completely disrespectful and that this is now 3 nights in a row. And she has the nerve to mock me for my weight loss immediately and says, "Have fun with your weight loss," in a sarcastic tone. Her friends had to hold her back because she got in my face. I literally had to threaten to call the cops. I'm seriously starting to believe she's doing this on purpose. Like, how else do you explain it? I've told her I wake up at 6 a.m. every day now. Why the hell would you invite a group over to drink and party directly beside someone's room at 1:30 a.m.? Please tell me I'm not losing it. I feel like I'm going crazy. Comment number 1: good lesson to learn early on in life. People are mostly self-centered and put little thought into how their actions directly affect the people around them. Nothing you say or do will change his behavior. You saying something likely made it worse. You have 2 options: noise-canceling headphones or earplugs. Or you can crash the fuck out on him and make him really scared. The second option doesn't work very often and will likely be retaliated on. Report her to the landlord and make a formal complaint with the police department / file harassment charges if you have to. You could also possibly break your lease. Don't threaten and not follow through. If you say you're going to blast music loudly in the AM, do it. Empty words aren't going to get you far. If noise-canceling headphones and basic communication won't work, your options are limited, and there's not much you can do. If she gets in your face again or gets visibly drunk, call about a noise complaint and a drunk and aggressive roommate and have her arrested honestly and let them know it's repetitively happening. If there's proof of assault like a red mark on your arm or anything, she's finished. This is definitely breaking lease terms, and she's just a trash roommate. Almost got into physical altercation over noise level. Sorry, long rant incoming, but I really need to get this off my chest. I live in a really small apartment, basically a rooming house since there's no living room and the walls are paper thin. We hear everything, especially through the vents. I've been here for 8 months, and it was mostly fine before, mainly because my old roommate, technically my subletta, was also kind of the landlord and worked early shifts, so everyone kept it quiet after 11 out of respect. But ever since he moved out, things have gone downhill fast. My current roommate is an alcoholic and stays up every single night until 3 drinking, slamming doors, cooking, watching movies at full blast, gaming, and having loud phone convos. I used to stay up late until 1 to 2 in the morning, so I let it slide, but things changed recently after some health news. I got blood work done, and my doctor warned me I'm at risk for metabolic syndrome. Type 2 diabetes runs in my family, and I am 30 pounds overweight. He told me I need to watch my diet and start working out to avoid the health issues in the future. I've committed to waking up at 6 a.m. for fitness classes and completely changing my lifestyle, better diet, and consistent workouts. I even told both of my roommates this. Gave them a heads up that I'll be waking up early every day. But this girl has been loud every single night. Midnight onwards, it doesn't matter. I've been surviving on 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and I'm honestly hitting a breaking point. I've texted her politely, reminded her in person, even threatened to blast music in the mornings. I've had to go into her room at night and ask her to shut up. Nothing works. Tonight, I finally thought I'd get some sleep. She wasn't home, and I passed out early around 11 p.m. Then 1:30 a.m. hits, and I wake up to her coming home with 4 people, drinking, laughing, playing music.
Her room is right beside mine.
I banged on her wall, got no response, so I texted her. She half-heartedly told her friends to quiet down, but the music kept going. Then I overhear her talking smack about me, insinuating I'm playing the victim and that my cat wakes her up in the morning. My cat maybe meowed 5 times total in 8 months, and never before 9 in the morning, and that's being generous. So yeah, I lost it. I stormed into her room and yelled. Told her she was being completely disrespectful and that this is now 3 nights in a row. And she has the nerve to mock me for my weight loss immediately and says, "Have fun with your weight loss," in a sarcastic tone. Her friends had to hold her back because she got in my face. I literally had to threaten to call the cops. I'm seriously starting to believe she's doing this on purpose. Like, how else do you explain it? I've told her I wake up at 6 every day now. Why the hell would you invite a group over to drink and party directly beside someone's room at 1:30? Please tell me I'm not losing it. I feel like I'm going crazy. Comment number 1: good lesson to learn early on in life. People are mostly self-centered and put little thought into how their actions directly affect the people around them. Nothing you say or do will change his behavior. You saying something likely made it worse. You have 2 options: noise-canceling headphones or earplugs. Or you can crash the fuck out on him and make him really scared. The second option doesn't work very often and will likely be retaliated on. Report her to the landlord and make a formal complaint with the police department / file harassment charges if you have to. You could also possibly break your lease. Don't threaten and not follow through. If you say you're going to blast music loudly in the AM, do it. Empty words aren't going to get you far. If noise-canceling headphones and basic communication won't work, your options are limited and there's not much you can do. If she gets in your face again or gets visibly drunk, call about a noise complaint and a drunk and aggressive roommate and have her arrested honestly and let them know it's repetitively happening. If there's proof of assault like a red mark on your arm or anything, she's finished. This is definitely breaking lease terms, and she's just a trash roommate. I need advice on communicating my needs. My boyfriend, 22M, and I, 22F, have been dating for a little over 2 years. For the past 6 months, we have been long distance due to him joining the military. At first, we wrote letters a lot and got limited phone calls. In the past couple of months, he's allowed his phone pretty much 24/7, so we're able to text and call whenever his schedule allows it.
He's been amazing.
He calls me every night, texts me every morning, and we both use a communication app that allows us to explore our feelings and understand each other's perspectives better. It's helped us both feel more secure in our relationship. The issue is in the past 2 years, I've felt insecure about his attraction to me. I need reassurance not just through action, but through words. However, he rarely compliments me, and when he does, it's generic and usually a response to me asking if I look okay. His responses are usually, "You look good." I maybe receive a compliment once a month unprompted. And it's usually when I'm completely dressed up in something somewhat revealing. And the compliment is either "you look good" or "you're hot." A couple weeks ago, I communicated with him how much compliments mean to me, maybe even more so now than ever, because we are long distance. I explained that I wanted more genuine, unique compliments, that I wanted to feel pretty. I explained that these things are very important to me, and I want him to have the tools to learning how to love me. He said he agreed and apologized, and went on to tell me he would absolutely do better and work on this. That was a couple weeks ago. I've sent him pictures of me occasionally since then. Nothing insane, just maybe a selfie or a cute outfit I'm wearing for the day, as well as post cute pictures of me on my Insta story that my friends have taken of me. I haven't received one compliment. I've given him multiple opportunities for him to show that he meant what he said, and I'm feeling completely dejected. I know it takes a while to create new habits and practice the things you want to work on, but I'm starting to feel like I would have been better off to just not say anything in the first place. I have no idea if I should bring it up again or just leave it be. I know that he does find me attractive to at least some degree because we talk about sexual attraction through our couples app. But now I'm feeling that maybe my body is the only thing he finds attractive, and only when it comes to sex. I was bullied through school and am very insecure if I'm actually pretty in the face, or if my body is the only thing that gets attention. Even when I do feel more confident in my looks, he doesn't say a word. And I don't know how to communicate just how important this is to me without making him feel bad for feelings I'm having. This has been an ongoing issue even when we weren't long distance, and I'm afraid I'm pushing for answers I probably just don't want to hear. What should I do? Do I give it more time before I bring it up again? How do I bring this up again? Comment number 1. I don't think this is a him issue. Have you asked yourself why you need so much validation from him to feel secure in your relationship? I think you should talk to your therapist or find one if you don't have one about this issue and work more on internal validation and feeling more confident and comfortable in your own skin without the validation of men you're dating. If this man said you looked terrible, it would snap what little confidence, if any, you do have, and that's the issue. Comment number 2. Don't depend on anyone else to make you feel confident, safe, and secure in your relationship. That's something that belongs to you and that you provide for yourself. I know you are quite young. I sense a lot of immaturity and insecurity. I would suggest individual therapy to help you figure out why wanting, needing, and putting the pressure on your guy for compliments all the time is of utmost importance to you. To me, it's an unusual personality trait. As for myself, I would be fine if I never received another compliment for the rest of my life. It comes from a place of having lived long enough to know myself well. The only thing that matters is how I perceive and feel about myself. I would never depend on another human being, male or female, to supply those feelings for me. What does that even prove if someone is pressured to give out compliments that may not be heartfelt, given on some level to head off needy behavior and arguments? Comment number 3. You are not being difficult. You are you, and you need praise, often repeatedly. And you should not be judged but accepted as you being you. Also, it's not really up to others to determine. That is not the issue. Some people need glasses to see. Others need verbal reassurance. Don't ever feel you are weird. It's great to open up and be vulnerable and speak about things that are very private, and there's nothing more difficult than to admit to our needs. So, in view of the fact you have done that, and he is blatantly ignoring your request, not his age, his job, his whatever can defend his not giving you one tiny compliment. So there needs to be a reading. Sometimes feelings fade over time, distance, silence. I feel you need to have a conversation not about your needs now, but about how he feels towards you. Establish where it's convenience of holding on to a relationship because it's handy or a genuine commitment to a person. Are his needs met? Do you visit him at all? What plans is he making? Lastly, there is no shame to put your needs ahead of his, your friends' and family's expectations, your established plans, peers' pressure, etc. Nobody is walking your path and has your interests at heart better than you. You are and will always be responsible for your own happiness. So, if you are not happy in a relationship, you need to pull your socks and leave.
My toxic family erased me, blamed me, and disowned me, and after years I'm tired of being the pushover or bigger person. The backstory. I, 23M, have 2 brothers. Growing up, I often felt like the forgotten one. My older brother was the golden child. He excelled at school and sports. My younger brother, meanwhile, caused enough disruption to command constant attention. I ended up in the middle, unnoticed. That lasted until I started to make my own choices that didn't align with what my parents wanted. That's when I stopped being invisible and started being the problem. Suddenly, everything I did was wrong. The trust between me and my parents vanished. We had countless arguments, but my mother's drinking meant she'd often forget they even happened. My father never stood up to her. He supported her blindly. My older brother took their side too, and fully embraced their judgment of me. 5 years ago, I left home. I needed space to find peace and rebuild myself. But my departure wasn't met with understanding. My parents fought to pull me back, not out of concern, but to preserve the facade of a happy family. When I didn't return, they escalated things. They stole my car, involved the police, and tried to access my bank account. When it was clear I wasn't coming back, they changed the locks and erased me from the family. I was no longer mentioned at birthdays. I became a ghost. With me gone, my younger brother became the new scapegoat. 2 years ago, he was also kicked out and came to live with me. Not long after, he told me he was having suicidal thoughts. I took it seriously and contacted mental health services immediately. Eventually, he went back to live with our parents. But instead of recognizing that I acted out of care, my parents twisted it into betrayal. They became convinced I had reported them out of spite. Since then, they've done everything they can to damage my reputation. They tell lies about my character, how I was always difficult, how I'm a burden to society. And every time I pick myself up, every time I think I've finally left the weight of all this behind, they find a way to creep back in. Sometimes it's a message. Sometimes it's a rumor I hear from someone in the family. But it always knocks me back. Just this past January, I stood in front of my mirror and, for the first time in 5 years, told myself that I was proud. I was genuinely happy with the life I had created on my own. Then my mother died. It wasn't grief that shattered me, it was everything that followed. I wasn't acknowledged as her child. I wasn't allowed at the funeral. And somehow, people began to whisper that I had something to do with her death. That final moment of peace I had built for myself came crumbling down. Recently, my father contacted me. He said he wanted to talk, specifically about why I had involved mental health services for my brother. I agreed, but I told him I wanted the conversation to be just between us. He insisted my brothers should be involved too. I explained that this was personal, that my choices were shaped by my own experiences and by a moment of honesty my brother shared with me. Their presence wouldn't help. But instead of listening, he lashed out again. Accused me of cutting ties, of being worthless, of trying to destroy the family. Sometimes I wonder if they really believe the version of events they've created. He claims he wants answers. I'm willing to give them, but only on my terms. I won't sit through another ambush, especially not from people who were never part of the story they're now trying to judge. Recently, I came across my mother's will. Unsurprisingly, I've been disowned. That didn't shock me. It's consistent with how I've been treated. But in my country, a parent can't legally cut a child out entirely. By law, I'm still entitled to half of what I would have received if I hadn't been written out. The catch? I have to ask my father for it. On one hand, I feel conflicted. He just lost the woman he spent 35 years of his life with. There's part of me that wants to let him grieve, to offer him space and peace, something I so desperately wanted for myself for years. On the other hand, there's a deep, burning part of me that remembers everything. The pressure, the rejection, the manipulation, the years of being made out to be the villain, until I almost believed it myself. And that part of me wants to demand what I'm owed, not just legally, but emotionally. That part wants to show them what it truly looks like when I stop trying to be the bigger person. I know that seeking what I'm owed won't undo the past. It won't heal the wounds or change their minds. But maybe, just maybe, it's a way of finally standing up for myself. Of reclaiming my place. Not in their narrative, but in my own. A way to remind them, but mostly myself, that I existed. That I mattered. That I still do. So now I'm left wondering, should I go after my father for the inheritance I'm legally entitled to? Even while I kind of know he doesn't have the finances to facilitate it, so it'll send him into financial bad weather. Or should I, once again, be the bigger person and just let it go? Comment number 1. I'm 41. I was the middle child too. I was ignored, but I was the one that never needed help, but I was also treated by far the worst. My parents were alcoholic, and brothers were both problematic. I moved out at 18, but moved back home when there was problems to help keep the family together. It was a huge mistake. The family was destroyed anyway. Both my brothers and father ended up killing themselves, and my dad's suicide was my mother's fault. Then she had a stroke, and I ended up having to take care of her even though she always treated me like shit. There was nothing to inherit because when my dad spiraled he got rid of everything and stopped paying the bills. The house was foreclosed upon soon after his death, and we were homeless. I had to pull myself and my mom out of poverty with no resources and no help. I have no extended family. It's up to you if you want to throw yourself back into that mess. But take it from me that it can make things far worse sometimes if you get yourself involved with a toxic family again once you're out. I wish I never went back. You don't need them, and you already know they don't care about you. If you're owed something, get it and get out. Family is who chooses to be with you. Blood means nothing in truth. Comment number 2. I'm going to offer some advice. Take it or leave it, but I hope it gives you a moment to pause and think about what you truly need. First, I'm so sorry you went through this. The middle child stigma is very real, but what you experienced goes far beyond that. You never deserved the kind of emotional abuse they put you through, not then, not now. As someone who survived a toxic relationship in my case, not family, but an ex-husband, I know how deeply damaging it can be. He broke me down emotionally, twisted how I saw myself, and when it turned physical, I made my escape. I left with almost nothing. He was ordered to pay me alimony, but I refused it. I didn't want a single tie left to someone who claimed to love me while destroying me. I share that because I want you to see how powerful it is to walk away, truly walk away. No lingering strings, no contact, no opening for guilt, manipulation, or control. You owe them nothing. Not your time, not your forgiveness, and certainly not your peace. Protect yourself. Protect your brother. And don't let the idea of revenge or closure keep the door cracked for them to walk through. You deserve freedom. You deserve healing. And you are not alone. Comment number 3. I assume you aren't in the States, so no idea how that works legally. My daughter was in similar situation with her father. I eventually divorced her dad because of the way he treated her. It was that bad, so I believe you. Her brothers were older and failed her as well. People will read your post and think there's another part that you just see it through a child's eye and it couldn't be as bad as you say. Let them think what they will. She is financially better off than any of us because I took all the money I had when I left and sent her to college and she thrived. You need your mother's money. You need to look at this not from an emotional state of mind but somewhat of a part in a play. Theater. Appear to be sincere. You want to be in your father's life. A normal father would want to walk his daughter down the aisle when she marries. There has to be a thing he wants from you. The thing that would make him look like the good guy. Find it, use it. He was probably raised as a golden child himself. He probably wants to tell his family, I talked to my daughter, she's yada yada. It makes him look good, and this is about it, raises his importance in the extended family. Sucks, I know, but it's how he thinks. Play on it. I know this sounds horrible thing. It will take every bit of emotional regulation in you. Justice is your card, not revenge. Men of this nature treat women as property. Take the money and walk away. Don't use the money for instant gratification. Go to college. Once you can afford it, get therapy. When you have children, remember you came from a broken place. Don't bring that into your child's life. Never drink. You have a genetic disposition for it. You are stronger than you know. Start with simple texts. Hey, Dad, just thinking of you, hoping you're well. Keep all conversations short. Set a timer. Emojis are great. Don't even mention the money for a while. If it's brought up, never say it's not your goal. Find a phrase that doesn't lie but doesn't answer their question. If justice is truly in your head and not spite, then I wish you well. My FWB tested positive for herpes. I don't know how to make sense of this. My 21M FBW 23F has recently decided to take birth control after asking me to be exclusive. Prior to this, neither of us really dated or talked to other people, to the best of my knowledge, but we were both open to the possibility. I thought this was a step in a good direction. I could really see a future with her. After speaking on the matter for several days, she scheduled an appointment with her gynecologist back home. It's worth mentioning that we had this conversation right before our spring break from our graduate program. During this time frame, I went back home to see my family. She did as well, and she planned to visit her doctor while at home to get birth control. After our 2-week break while at school, she received a phone call from my gyno telling her she's positive for HSV. She called me understandably distraught and crying. It's worth noting that in this 6-month time span, she was the only girl I had sex with. And prior to that, I was in a long-term exclusive relationship. She claimed that she was exclusive as well, but I'm not sure. To add insult to injury, in this span of time I got blood drawn for an STI panel 3 times in the span of 2 months. And I tested negative for all STIs each time. When she tested again to confirm, she tested positive again for HSV. What made the situation even more problematic is she's gaslighting me, saying that it had to be me and she was exclusive to only me. But I replied to her that I can't give an STI that I don't have myself. As I know it, some viral infections can lie dormant, but dormant in terms of symptoms. One's infection will always show up on a test. Only through antiviral meds can one suppress their viral load enough for it to not show up positive on a test. Thus indicating that she probably stepped outside our arrangement while on break, and then went to her gyno. I'm just a little confused and experiencing trust issues now. And seeing that I'm almost certain she's being dishonest, I lack clarity. Comment number 1. Does she know if her mom/dad had it? There are many cases where the mother gave it to the child through natural birth if they are having an active outbreak. And the test isn't done on the normal panel, you have to ask for it. So there is a high chance that she never had that test done prior, so she has been a dormant carrier the whole time and not known. Don't toss her to the wolves yet. Over 70% of the population has some level of HSV and most don't know it because it doesn't show up. Yet. Sorry if this doesn't help, it's just my 2 cents, and no, I will not add personal details, besides the trust me bro. Comment number 2. Herpes is one of those viruses that can cause serious issues in relationships, especially when exclusivity is just beginning. The truth is that herpes can lay dormant in someone's body for decades and not show up on a test, show no symptoms, etc. That's even when someone has an SI or STD tests ran on them. This is really going to be a matter of trust and communication between you two. It's easy to try and lay blame when the stigma of an STD and STI that has no cure is present. If you love one another and are able to work through this without issues of trust being ongoing, I'd imagine your relationship be stronger for it. However, if the issue is just too great to overcome, it's best not to linger in a relationship that is broken. Personally, I'd give it some time, and see if you two can work through the issue. However, She may not be trying to gaslight, aka lie to you and make you believe a false truth. She could very well be telling you the truth. It's hard to say in matters such as this.